You deserve better than this. And deep down, you already know it. You know that the people around you don't prioritize you. You know that you're the one who always reaches out, always accommodates, always sacrifices while receiving nothing in return. You know that if you disappeared tomorrow, most of the people in your life wouldn't notice for days, maybe weeks. And that knowledge is eating you alive, because you're a good person who keeps hoping that eventually your turn will come. But here's what you need to hear, even though it hurts. Your turn isn't coming. Not because you don't deserve it, but because you've taught everyone in your life that prioritizing you is optional, that your needs can wait, that your presence is guaranteed regardless of how they treat you. And people always treat you exactly how you teach them you'll accept being treated. Right now, you're surrounded by people who take from you constantly but give nothing back, who remember you exist only when they need something, who fill their lives with other priorities while expecting you to remain available whenever it's convenient for them. And you're accepting it. You're rationalizing it. You're making excuses for why everyone else gets to be busy, have boundaries, pursue their priorities. But you're expected to remain endlessly available, endlessly understanding, endlessly last on everyone's list. Think about your last week. How many times did you reach out to check on others versus how many reached out to check on you? How many times did you adjust your schedule to accommodate someone versus how many adjusted for you? How many times did you offer support versus receive it? If the imbalance makes you want to cry, that's not weakness. That's your self-respect finally demanding to be heard. The people in your life have learned that you're the safe option, the one who won't leave, the one who won't complain, the one who will always be there no matter how little effort they put in. And they've structured their lives accordingly, filling their time with priorities they care about while keeping you in the background as emotional support for when everyone else is unavailable. Machiavelli understood 500 years ago in Renaissance Italy that those who prioritize everyone else at their own expense don't end up respected. They end up used. He watched good people waste their entire lives being loyal to those who were never loyal back. And he understood that self-preservation isn't selfishness, that boundaries aren't cruelty, that choosing yourself isn't giving up on others. It's finally refusing to give up on yourself. This video will show you 7 devastating signs that you're nobody's priority. More importantly, it will give you the protocol to rebuild your value and establish the absolute boundaries that will change everything. Not because you're becoming cruel, but because you're finally choosing to protect the good person you've been giving away to people who never deserved it. Now, I want you to drop this affirmation in the comments. I protect my energy. Machiavelli's understanding of self-worth. Machiavelli lived in a world where loyalty was tested daily. He watched people exhaust themselves being available to everyone while being valued by no one, and he understood that the greatest tragedy wasn't being abandoned by others. It was abandoning yourself by accepting treatment that destroyed your soul piece by piece. He knew that those who prioritize everyone else teach the world that their own worth is negotiable. And once that lesson is taught, it's almost impossible to unteach without radical change. 1. You're always the one, reaching out, and they rarely reciprocate. Let's start with the most obvious sign that's probably been breaking your heart for months. Look at your phone right now. Scroll through your messages. who initiates, who reaches out, who checks in. If you're honest with yourself, you'll see a pattern that's devastating. You're the one sending "How are you?" messages. You're the one making plans. You're the one keeping connections alive. And when you stop reaching out, silence. Days turn into weeks. Weeks turn into months. And you realize the painful truth. These relationships only exist because you refuse to let them die. Here's what's really happening. You're not in mutual relationships. You're in one-sided arrangements where you provide connection, support, and presence while they consume it without reciprocating. They've learned that you'll always reach out so they don't have to. They've learned that keeping the relationship alive is your job, not theirs. And they've structured their lives accordingly, investing their energy into people and priorities that matter to them while expecting you to remain available when it's convenient. Think about the last time someone in your life proactively reached out just to check on you. Not because they needed something, not because you'd reached out first, just because they thought about you and wanted to know how you're doing. If you're struggling to remember, that's your answer. You're not a priority to them. You're a convenience. The people you love and prioritize should prioritize you back. Not perfectly, not constantly, but consistently enough that you never have to question whether they'd notice if you disappeared. When you're always the one initiating, always the one maintaining connection, always the one keeping relationships alive through sheer force of will, you're not being loved. You're being used as emotional infrastructure by people too comfortable to maintain it themselves. Machiavelli once said, "Men are so simple and obedient to present necessities that he who deceives will always find someone who will let himself be deceived." You're deceiving yourself into believing that your one-sided effort equals mutual care. It doesn't. It equals you doing all the work while they benefit from a relationship they're not willing to maintain themselves. Here's what you need to understand. Reciprocity isn't asking too much. It's the bare minimum of any real relationship. When someone values you, they reach out. They check in. They initiate. They don't make you feel like you're bothering them every time you try to connect. They don't make maintaining the relationship entirely your responsibility. When you're the only one reaching out, when weeks pass without contact unless you initiate it, when your messages are answered with minimal effort while they're actively engaging with others, you're not paranoid for noticing. You're finally seeing the truth that you've been avoiding. You're not their priority. You're their backup emotional support for when their real priorities are unavailable. I want you to drop this affirmation in the comments. My boundaries protect me. 2. Your schedule is always flexible for them. Theirs never is for you. Pay attention to this pattern, because it reveals everything about power dynamics in your relationships. You drop everything when they need you. You rearrange your schedule. You cancel other plans. You make yourself available no matter the inconvenience. And them? They're busy. They'll try to make it work. They'll let you know. They'll see if they can fit you in. Your time is treated as infinitely flexible, while theirs is treated as precious and limited. This isn't coincidence. This is them showing you exactly how much they value you compared to everything else in their life. Here's what happens when someone actually values you. They make time. They don't make you feel like seeing you is an inconvenience they're trying to squeeze into an already full schedule. They don't consistently cancel or reschedule. They don't make you wait weeks for time together while posting about activities with others. When someone values you, their schedule somehow finds flexibility for you, the same way yours always finds flexibility for them. Think about the last time you asked to spend time with someone in your life. How did they respond? Was it immediate enthusiasm and commitment to a time? Or was it vague promises of maybe next week or I'll check my calendar? Now think about the last time they needed something from you. Did they expect immediate availability? The difference between those two scenarios is the difference between how much you value them and how much they value you. Ask yourself, do the people in your life expect you to accommodate their schedule while rarely accommodating yours? Do they cancel on you frequently but get upset when you're unavailable? Do they fill their time with other priorities while expecting you to remain available when everyone else is busy? These aren't signs of mutual respect. These are signs of being someone's convenience rather than their priority. Machiavelli understood that everyone sees what you appear to be. Few experience what you really are. And when you appear constantly available, constantly flexible, constantly willing to accommodate everyone else's schedule, you're perceived as low value. Not because you actually are, but because that's what unlimited availability signals. High-value people have full lives that others must work around. Low-value people have empty schedules they'll rearrange for anyone. Here's the truth you need to accept. Your time is just as valuable as theirs. Your schedule deserves the same respect. Your availability should be just as limited and precious. When you make yourself infinitely flexible for people who are never flexible for you, you're teaching them that your time has no value, and their time is more important. When you're always the one rearranging, always the one accommodating, always the one waiting for them to find time, while they never wait for you, you're not being understanding. You're being taken advantage of by people who know you'll always make yourself available, while they never have to return the favor. I want you to drop this affirmation in the comments. I choose respect always. 3. They share their lives with others, but you get surface-level updates. Here's a sign that cuts deep because it's so visible. Watch what they share with others versus what they share with you. They post on social media about their lives, their struggles, their wins, their experiences. They have deep conversations with other people. They share their vulnerabilities with others. But you get surface-level updates. I'm good. How are you? Basic information. Polite distance. You're in their life, but you're not in their inner circle. You're not someone they trust with depth. You're someone they keep at arm's length while sharing intimacy with everyone else. Here's what's really happening. They've categorized you. You're useful for certain things. Maybe emotional support, maybe practical help, maybe just keeping around as backup. But you're not someone they actually want to be close to. You're not someone they choose to share their real life with. You're someone they keep on the periphery, accessible enough to use when needed, but distant enough that it requires no real investment. Think about what you know about their life compared to what they share publicly or with others. Are you learning about major events from social media? Are you finding out about their struggles secondhand? Are they sharing vulnerabilities with acquaintances while giving you sanitized updates? This isn't them being private. This is them being private with you while being open with everyone else. And that selective privacy tells you exactly where you rank. Ask yourself, when they have good news, are you one of the first to know or one of the last? When they're struggling, do they reach out to you, Or do you find out after they've already processed it with others? When they make plans, are you included? Or do you hear about it after the fact? The answers to these questions reveal whether you're someone they actually want in their life, or just someone they keep around out of habit or convenience. Machiavelli once said, men in general judge more from appearances than from reality. And the appearance when someone shares their life with everyone except you is that you don't matter enough to be trusted with their authentic self. The reality might be different, but the appearance is what shapes your experience and your pain. Here's what you need to understand. Real relationships involve mutual sharing, vulnerability, trust, inclusion in each other's lives. When someone keeps you at surface level while diving deep with everyone else, they're showing you that you're not actually important to them. You're convenient, you're useful, but you're not chosen. When you're consistently the last to know about their life, when you get polite updates while others get real connection, when they share vulnerabilities with acquaintances but guard them from you, you're not being paranoid. You're recognizing that you're not actually close to someone you've been treating as close to you. I want you to drop this affirmation in the comments. I protect my energy. 4. They remember you exist only when they need something. Pay close attention to when people in your life contact you. Not the frequency, the timing. Do they reach out when they're happy and want to share joy? Or do they reach out when they need advice, support, help, a favor, or someone to listen to their problems? If you're honest with yourself, you'll see a devastating pattern. You're their emotional ATM. They withdraw when they're low. They never deposit. You're not a person they value. You're a resource they exploit. Here's what happens when you're nobody's priority, but everyone's option. Your phone stays quiet when their life is going well. When they're out with friends, on dates, having fun, succeeding, you don't exist to them. But the moment something goes wrong, the moment they need validation, advice, support, or a favor, suddenly they remember you exist. Suddenly they're reaching out. Suddenly they value your presence. Not because they value you, but because they value what you provide. Think about your recent interactions with people you care about. What prompted them to contact you? Were they sharing happiness and wanting you to be part of their joy? Or were they in crisis and needing you to fix their emotional state? When someone only remembers you exist in their times of need, you're not their friend. You're their therapist, advisor, problem solver, emotional crutch, but never their celebration partner. Ask yourself, do the people in your life reach out when things are good, or only when things are bad? Do they invite you to share their wins, or only their losses? Do they include you in their happiness, or only burden you with their struggles? The pattern reveals everything about whether they see you as a person to love or a resource to use. Machiavelli understood that good intentions are the most useful disguise for manipulation. And people who use you disguise it as needing your unique insight, your special support, your irreplaceable friendship. But if that friendship only manifests when they need something and disappears when they don't, it was never friendship. It was exploitation wrapped in flattery. Here's the truth that will set you free. People who value you include you in all parts of their life, the good and the bad, the celebrations and the struggles. People who use you only include you when they need something from you. When your phone only rings in their crises, when you only hear from them when they're struggling, when you're never invited to share their joy, you're not a priority. You're a utility. When you're consistently contacted only when they need emotional support, advice, favours, or problem solving, when they disappear the moment their crisis passes, when you're never invited to share their good times, you're not in a relationship. You're being used by people who've learned you'll always be available to give while never expecting to receive. I want you to drop this affirmation in the comments. My boundaries protect me. 5. You feel drained after interactions. Instead of energized, pay attention to how you feel after spending time with the people in your life. Not during, after. Because during, you're probably performing. You're being supportive. You're being understanding. You're being available. But after, when you're alone, how do you feel? If the answer is exhausted, drained, depleted, used, your body is telling you something your heart doesn't want to admit. These relationships are taking from you without giving back. You're being emptied by people who never refill what they take. Here's what happens in one-sided relationships. You give your emotional energy, your time, your attention, your support. You listen to their problems. You offer advice. You make them feel better. And them? They take what you offer, feel relieved, and move on with their lives while you're left feeling like you've been hollowed out. That drained feeling isn't coincidence. It's the natural result of giving endlessly to people who never give back. Think about your last interaction with someone you care about. Did you leave feeling uplifted, valued, energized by mutual connection? Or did you leave feeling exhausted, used, like you just performed emotional labor that was never going to be reciprocated? Your feelings are information. And if the information says, I feel drained every time I interact with this person, it's probably accurate. Ask yourself, do you need to emotionally prepare before seeing certain people? Do you feel relief when plans with them get cancelled? Do you need recovery time after interactions? Do you feel like you're walking on eggshells or performing a role? These feelings aren't weakness or anxiety. They're your body trying to protect you from relationships that are harming you. Machiavelli once said, "He who controls perception controls power." And you've been perceiving these draining relationships as normal, as what friendship requires, as the price of being there for people. But healthy relationships energize you. They fill you up as much as they take. They leave you feeling valued and connected, not depleted and used. Here's what you need to understand. You should feel good after spending time with people who value you. Not drained, not exhausted, not like you just gave everything while receiving nothing. When every interaction leaves you feeling emptied, your relationships aren't reciprocal. They're extractive. When you consistently feel drained after interactions, when you need time to recover from spending time with people who claim to care about you, when you feel relief at cancelled plans instead of disappointment, you're not being oversensitive. You're recognizing that these relationships are taking more than they give, and your body is trying to protect you from that imbalance. I want you to drop this affirmation in the comments. I choose respect always. 6. When you set boundaries, they respond with guilt or anger. Here's the most revealing test of whether someone values you or values your compliance. Set a boundary. Say no. Express a need. Limit your availability. And watch what happens. If they get defensive, if they make you feel guilty, if they turn it around on you, if they act like you're being unreasonable for having standards, you've just discovered the truth. They never valued you as a person. They valued your lack of boundaries. They valued unlimited access. They valued compliance, and your boundary threatened their convenient access to someone who asks for nothing while giving everything. Here's what happens when you finally protect yourself with people who've been taking advantage. They don't apologize and adjust their behavior. They get upset that you're no longer accepting mistreatment. They make you feel bad for expecting reciprocity. They tell you you're too demanding, too sensitive, too high maintenance for wanting basic respect. And they do this because your boundary interrupted their comfortable arrangement where they take everything and give nothing. Think about the last time you tried to set a boundary or express a need with someone in your life. Did they respect it? Did they apologize for crossing it? Did they adjust their behavior? Or did they get defensive, make excuses, turn it around to make you feel bad for having needs? The way someone responds to your boundaries tells you everything about whether they respect you or just benefited from your lack of self-protection. Ask yourself, are you afraid to express needs because you know they'll make you feel guilty? Have you stopped bringing up issues because it always ends with you apologizing? Do you feel bad for wanting to be treated better? If yes, you're not in relationships with people who respect you. You're in dynamics with people who've trained you to accept poor treatment without complaint. Machiavelli understood that injuries should be inflicted all at once, so that their ills, savoring being less lasting, may give less offense. What he meant was that boundaries will offend people who benefit from you having none, and their offense, their anger, their guilt-tripping, their defensiveness isn't proof that you're wrong. It's proof that your boundary was necessary, and they know it threatens their access to someone they've been exploiting. Here's the uncomfortable truth. Someone who genuinely cares about you celebrates your boundaries. They respect your limits. They want you to have self-respect and protect yourself. Someone who only cared about what you provide gets angry at boundaries because your standards threaten their comfortable access to someone they can use without reciprocating. When you set a boundary and they respond with anger, guilt-tripping, or defensiveness instead of understanding and adjustment, when they make you feel bad for having standards, when they act like your needs are burdens, they're showing you that they never respected you. They respected your compliance. And now that you're demanding respect, they're revealing exactly how little you've always mattered to them beyond what you provided. I want you to drop this affirmation in the comments. I protect my energy. 7. You already know, but you've been ignoring your gut. Here's the most important sign, and the one you've been avoiding. You already know all of this. Your gut has been screaming at you for months, maybe years, that you're not valued by the people around you, that you're giving everything and receiving nothing, that you're a priority to no one while making everyone else your priority. But you've been ignoring that knowledge because acknowledging it would mean facing painful truths and making difficult decisions. Here's what's really happening. Your instincts, your intuition, your deeper awareness can see what your heart doesn't want to admit. Every time you're the only one reaching out, you feel it. Every time your schedule is flexible, but theirs isn't, you feel it. Every time they only contact you when they need something, you feel it. That sinking feeling in your stomach, that heaviness in your chest, that voice in your head that whispers, "This isn't right. You deserve better." That's not anxiety. That's not insecurity. That's your self-preservation trying to protect you from people who don't value you. Think about how long you've known this. Not suspected, known. How long have you been making excuses for people who consistently show you that you're not their priority? How long have you been rationalizing behavior that you'd never accept from yourself? How long have you been ignoring your gut? Because listening to it would mean admitting that you've been wasting your love, time, and energy on people who don't reciprocate. Ask yourself, if a friend described your relationships to you, what would you tell them? If someone you loved was being treated the way you're being treated, would you tell them it's acceptable? Would you tell them to keep trying harder? Or would you tell them to protect themselves and walk away? Apply the same standard to yourself that you'd apply to someone you care about. Machiavelli once said, "Men are driven more by illusion than reason." And you've been choosing the illusion that things will get better, that eventually you'll be prioritized, that if you just give a little more, they'll finally reciprocate. But your gut knows the truth. They won't. Because people don't change unless they're motivated to change. And when you keep accepting poor treatment, you remove their motivation to treat you better. Here's what you need to understand. Your gut doesn't lie. When it tells you you're not valued, when it tells you you're being taken for granted, when it tells you you're giving too much to people who give too little, it's protecting you with accurate information. And every time you ignore that information to stay in dynamics that devalue you, you're choosing their comfort over your own well-being, when you've known for months or years that you're nobody's priority, when you've been making excuses to avoid facing that truth, when you've been silencing your instincts because listening would require changing your life. You're not being patient or understanding. You're ignoring the part of you that's trying to save you from wasting more years on people who will never value you the way you deserve. I want you to drop this affirmation in the comments. My boundaries protect me. The protocol. Rebuilding your value and establishing absolute boundaries. So here's what you need to understand. Here's the protocol for rebuilding yourself, after recognizing that you're nobody's priority. This isn't about revenge. This isn't about punishing anyone. This is about finally choosing yourself after years of choosing everyone else at your own expense. Step 1. Stop reaching out first. For the next 30 days, do not initiate contact with anyone who never initiates with you. Let the silence reveal who actually values you versus who just benefits from your effort. The silence will be painful, but it will be honest. Step 2. Make your schedule as limited as theirs. Your time is just as valuable. Start filling your schedule with things that serve you. Hobbies, rest, self-care, new connections. When people want your time, they can work around your availability the way you've always worked around theirs. Step 3. Share your life selectively. Stop giving deep vulnerability to people who give you surface-level connection. Save your real sharing for people who've proven they want to know you, not just use you. Let others wonder what's going on in your life instead of always volunteering everything. Step 4. Become unavailable for one-sided giving. The next time someone only contacts you when they need something, you're allowed to be busy. You're allowed to have other priorities. You're allowed to not be their emotional support system when they've never been yours. Step 5. Notice how you feel. Start paying attention to how relationships make you feel. If someone consistently drains you, limit exposure. If someone energizes you, invest more. Your feelings are information about whether relationships serve you or harm you. Step 6. Enforce boundaries without explaining. When you set a boundary, and someone responds with guilt or anger, hold firm. You don't owe explanations. You don't owe justifications. No is a complete sentence. That doesn't work for me, requires no defense. Their discomfort with your boundaries is not your problem to solve. Step 7. Trust your gut always. When your instincts tell you something is wrong, believe them. When your gut says someone doesn't value you, listen. When your intuition says you're giving too much, adjust. Your gut is trying to protect you. Stop overriding it with false hope. Machiavelli would remind you that self-respect is not selfishness, that protecting yourself is not cruelty, that choosing yourself after years of choosing everyone else is not giving up on people. It's finally refusing to give up on yourself. Those who truly value you will respect your boundaries and rise to meet your standards. Those who only valued your compliance will leave. And that's exactly how you know the boundaries are working. The world doesn't need more good people who accept being nobody's priority. The world needs strong people who refuse to be anyone's afterthought, who know their worth and refuse to negotiate it, who understand that being alone is better than being surrounded by people who make you feel alone. If you remember nothing else from this message, remember this: you teach people how to treat you. And for too long, you've been teaching everyone that you're optional, that your needs don't matter, that your presence is guaranteed regardless of how they treat you. Stop teaching that lesson. Start requiring what you deserve. If this video made you realize you've been accepting far less than you deserve, hit that like button. Share it with someone who needs to hear that they're worth more than being everyone's backup plan. And subscribe to this channel, because we're going to keep having these real conversations about boundaries, self-respect, and refusing to accept mistreatment. Now, I want you to drop this final affirmation in the comments. I am powerful and kind. Choose yourself first. Everything else follows. Now go protect the beautiful soul you've been giving away to people who never deserved it.